Ready? Okay. Actually, I don't know. Can you hear me? Hey, it's on. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'd like to thank you for coming to the virtual tour here this morning. My name is Alan Patterson. I'm the dairy specialist with DuPont Pioneer. It's my privilege to introduce Larson Acres from Evansville, Wisconsin. We've got Ed Larson here, his daughter Sandy, and then Mike and Pat. So without a whole lot of further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Sandy. When we're finished, we've got some of the Larson Acres brochures as you go out, but then we also have some jump drives with the presentations and some information on them for you as well. When Sandy is completed with the presentation, if you have a question, if you'd raise your hand, we'd like to get the microphone to you, and then you can ask your question and we'll get you the answer. So without further ado, Sandy, the floor is yours.
Louder. Can you hear me in the back yet? Well, I can't scream because I've already given like 15 tours at home, so I'm going to lose my voice. So hopefully it'll come on. This works though. Okay. Well, as he said, my name is Sandy. I am the fifth generation at the Larson Acres, and we are located in Evansville, Wisconsin, and it's only about 30 minutes south of here. So we didn't have to come very far, and we enjoy being able to present our virtual tour on technology today. Or not. Show's over. There we go. Okay, so here's what I'm going to talk about today, the overview. I'm going to talk a little bit about our family. We're really proud to farm together. Talk about the dairy. Manure management is a big part of what we do at our farm. Research, precision ag, and the technology of social media, which is a lot of what I do. So let's jump into family. Here's a recent picture. There are 4 generations in this picture, and we're all actively involved in the farm now. My brother is not here today. We're really busy doing corn silage and also doing pumping manure, so he could not sneak away with the rain that's coming this weekend. So he's a big part of this technology part, but he could not be here today. And a lot of us have different management positions. We like to meet every Thursday in what we call operations meetings. So we get to everybody at the table and we talk about employees. We talk about what's going on in the barns, what's going on in the fields, upcoming events. So they could take anywhere from a half an hour to an hour and a half, just depending on what's going on. But it's a really important part of us staying connected and what's going on our dairy. And this is a picture of our dairy. We've been farming in this area for over 90 years. So as I said, I'm 5th generation, and we're really proud of that. My grandfather bought this site in 1957, and we were milking about 150 cows as I was growing up in a tie stall barn for a long, long time. And in my dad and my uncle's generation, there's another brother. So there were 3 boys raising families. And as we got older, my brother and I were on the farm. I had 2 cousins that were on the farm. We needed to grow so we could all stay farming together. So what we did is we built our first parlor right here and put in a freestyle barn in 1998. And so we went from about 155 cows to 600 cows, and that went really, really well. And so phase 2 was to add another 600 cows, that second freestyle barn, and we were milking about 1,300 cows for about 12 years. In 2010, we expanded again and doubled the herds. We added the barn at the top is our cross-ventilated barn, which I'm going to talk a lot about today, and we're milking 2,900 cows. 2,400 are milking. That includes dry cows. At our dairy, we have 60 employees, which includes 11 family members, and they do calf barn work to milking to cropping and everything in between. So we have a lot of people that we need to communicate with and train and to keep our operation working well. We operate on 5,000 acres, of which half are owned and half are rented. And we grow crops, corn for corn silage and high moisture corn, hay, and a grass mix for dry cows and heifers. As I said already, we milk 2,900 cows, and we're currently getting almost 90 pounds per cow per day. Key features on our dairy are the cross-ventilated barn and then the conventional barns, which is the barns we built in 1998. I call them the conventional barns because the fans and the misters are inside the barns and on top of the cows versus the cross-ventilated barn where I have fans and a cooling system on the ends of the barn. We have two parlors, a double 20 and a double 22 Bomatic parlors. They're both very, very similar. Cows can be milked in either parlor. They start in one parlor for the first 150 days, and then later lactation they move to the other barn. So the barns are purposely set up very similar so the cows are used to the same routine. We have 5 nursery barns. 4 are new, and the other nursery barn is our old tie stall barn where we have 150 huts inside the barn, and we have some group pens, and that has worked really, really well. We still have the fan tunnel ventilation in there, and we still use the gutters to clean pens, and the calves do grow well in there. We have new calf barn for 2 to 5 month old calves that I'll show you, and we have a special needs area. Here's a picture of the inside of our new cross-ventilated barn that we built in 2010. It houses 1,850 cows. It's kind of 2 barns in one. So I have, at this end that we're looking at are 8 milking pens. It has about 140 cows in each pen. And then the other half at the other end is dry cows. Our transition cows are in there. So our cows and our heifers are in separate pens. And depending on how many weeks away from calving, so 1 week away, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks away from calving, is our transition area, and also maternity. So the herdsmen on duty, they'll walk those pens every hour, watch for calvings, and move them to an individual maternity pen, and then monitor their calving progress. And we have about 8 new calves born every day. Other features of this barn, cow comfort is really, really big in this barn. The stalls are a little bit bigger. We bed with sand bedding in all our barns. The cows actually have more room to get up in that lunge space in the drover's lane. So the cows are really comfortable. Also, it's a lot cooler in this barn with our cooling technology, which is in this slide. The cool cell walls has water that drips down. It's kind of hard to see this picture, but the water drips down what I call like a hard cardboard. And there's 185 fans on the opposite wall blowing that air. Was blowing air through the barn, through eight rows of barns, or 8 rows of pens, rows. And that'll cool this barn 15 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than the outside temperature. So in the summer, it's really nice in there. The cows are very comfortable. If we were to put together a stretch of hot weather like we did last year, 100-degree days for 5 days, the cows are going to start to get warm, but we do notice that they do come back quicker in production. If they did drop some, they're going to come back quicker. The cow comfort, again, in that barn is we're really seeing the difference, and we really like it. Here's a picture of our parlor. This is the new one built in 2010. So this is a double 20 Bomatic parlor. There is a subway underneath, so all the meters, milk testing is all done in the basement in the subway. We do have the RFID tags, so all milk weights and time of milking is recorded for milking each day. We do milk 3 times a day. The shifts are 5 a.m., 1 p.m., and 9 p.m. So they'll milk 1,100 cows in this parlor in 7 hours and an hour of cleanup after each shift. And then the other parlor milks 1,300 cows in the same time frame. This is our new nursery barns and the 2 to 5 month old barn. Overview of that. Here's a view inside one of the new nursery barns. They hold 60 calves in each barn. And some key features, there's a tube ventilation in the ceiling, so it's always bringing in fresh air and then forces the stale air out, so the calves are always breathing in fresh air through the whole barn. We do have curtain sidewalls, and there are 4 drains in our barn. So you see 2 here in the front for any milk and water that's spilled, and there's drains on the back side, so any weeping from the calves is towards the back. There's a crew of about 5 people that feed the calves pasteurized milk 3 times a day, and so they kind of have a split shift depending on the day if they're doing bedding that day or not. They work through a split shift schedule. This is our 2 to 5 month old barn. So I forgot to mention when we wean the calves at 6 weeks in the nursery barn, we then take out that middle panel and put them together with their first pen mate. So there's a group of 2. So it's a less stressful situation for the calves. Then their next step here is a pen size of 8. And then halfway through this barn is a pen of 16. So a very gradual introduction of more calves per pen. This also has tube ventilation. There's 2 tube ventilations over each side of the group pens. Some technology we use in the dairy side for cows, the computerized ID monitoring system for cow management. We use the RFID tags. We have Dairy Comp 305. We're utilizing the handheld and the wand, and our herdsmen use that on a daily basis. It really saves time and realizing whether or not we need that cow for an event that day. We're also using some genomics. We're genomics testing all our heifers before they leave the hut. We're using it as a tool, so we know exactly how genetic-wise our heifers are. And we intend to sell the bottom 10% of the heifers, and we use some beef semen in cows, so we'll use some sex semen in our heifers, so we maintain the right number of heifer calves. And we're flushing the top 1%. We do have a few flush cows and a few virgin heifers that we are flushing, and we use our own recips for that. So we're hoping to improve our herd genetics and have a nice herd that produces a lot of milk. On to the next technology is manure management. I mentioned that we do recycle sand. So here is a picture of the McClanahan sand separator that we have in the barn. We do recycle almost 96% of our sand. So it works really well. We have to buy just a couple loads a month just to replenish the loss when we put sand in. We also, you can see in the picture that orange piece is a sand shaker, so it's getting the sand just a touch drier before it hits this pile. And I have a video I can show. So this is a view, all the manure from this barn comes to the pit that we're kind of zooming in now. All the manure comes there. And then it's kept stirred up because there is sand in there. And then the first step it goes then is to the sand separators. Which is the green system that I showed in the picture. And then, so the sand is separated. And this is a settling lane that's going to catch my finer sands. And I don't keep that. It doesn't, we don't want to use that sand. That actually just gets hauled out in the fields. Then the manure then goes down the tube that's coming up. Then I'm left with just my manure and with no sand. And that goes to a manure recycling area, manure management area that I'll show you next. So here's the sand shaker and how that works. Gets the sand just a touch drier. The pile forms, and every day they'll move the pile to a new bay. So after about 4 days, we can put more sand out in the cows' pen, in the stalls. We have approximately 2 people that work in this area during the day, monitoring all the system and putting in sand in all the pens that need it. The next step is the manure separating area. We've tried lots of different technology. We want to find the system that works best for us, and we believe in using sand. So we've got that system in place, and now we want to make sure we're managing our manure the way we want to, and be able to use that manure efficiently. So we've got, this is just a trailer with I think. With a trial centrifuge on it we had for a few days. And I think we're going to like the results. We sent in some samples. So we're trying different things to make sure we can do the best we can with our manure management. The next one is, I got another video showing how we separate that solids out of the manure. So the manure goes through these drum filters. And then that comes down. These are some screw presses, and this is my solids product that's very high in phosphorus. It's kind of like a compost type. We do not use it for bedding. We prefer the sand. So we use it for fertilizer. We put it out on hay fields that we're going to no longer use the next year. So we have 2 of those, and we have a shed that holds about 6 weeks to 2 months storage of the solids of the manure. So then I'm left with more of a liquid product that goes in one of two manure lagoons. I have a 6 million gallon and a 12 million gallon lagoon. And here you can see we're stirring it up and pumping. And we've been sampling manure for 10 years probably, and we've realized that manure product is very inconsistent. And we stir and stir our lagoons just to get it consistent, and we still don't. So when you're starting and the pit is full, your nitrogen and your phosphorus levels may be here, and by the time you get to the bottom, it's going to be at a different level. So at what rate do you put the manure on? And we've been working a lot on trying to get that more consistent. We can pump then with these booster pumps, with an 8-inch hose. It shows here. We can go 3 miles from the dairy directly to our fields, and we'll use some more pumps to get that manure out there. This way, we're going less over the road with trucks or tractor traffic hauling our manure, so we're able to save our town roads in our area that way. If we have to go further than the 3 miles, we do use tankers, and we bottom fill our tankers versus some that would top fill. I briefly touched on sampling manure then. We do send in well over 100 or 150 samples of manure every year. And I send them into a lab and I get my results back. And this is a spreadsheet. I know you can't read it, but I'll kind of explain it to you. That I do. So I have the sample number, and I've learned that my sample numbers always start with 12 or 13, depending like my year. It's my year, crop year, and then the numbers. So like start with like 1301, or next year will be 1401, 1402. That's very helpful for us to find samples when we want to. I have the date that I took that sample. I have the source. I have multiple sources. I have my heifer facility, or I have which pit that I took my sample from, or if it's just a straw pack as well. Then I say which field I went to. And any other description could be, something that the applicator noticed that day. And then I use my analysis records for dry matter content, and in the NPK and S. I do first year, second year in total. And then I take this and I do each field. So each sample bottle goes to a specific field as we're applying. So I know exactly what the NP and K in that field got with my fertilizer, my manure. Here's a picture of us tankering to fields that are further than 3 miles away. And what we do is unload into a frac tank, and then we can haul or pump that then to the fields in that area. I apply one of two ways. So the one on the left in the green field, we actually can apply some of my liquid manure during the growing season. So within 2 days of harvesting the hay or the grass mixture, I can go out and put some nitrogen on that field because that's when it needs it. And otherwise, right now we're doing, like the spring and the fall, we'll incorporate the manure right into the ground. And we do that so there's lower odor and it prevents runoff. Spring is always a chance of manure runoff. So we like to incorporate that right into the ground. So that's a picture of that there. And then I mentioned here variable rate technology, VRT, allows for efficient use of fertilizer. So I do map all this, and I'll know exactly where I might need to add some more fertilizer based on the samples that I have sent in. I know how much fertilizer I've already put out there, how much more is needed for that crop to use. We work closely with the University of Wisconsin Extension on a few things in research to develop best management practices for water efficiency. Center pivots and moisture sensors and irrigation modeling are kind of all tied together. So we use our pivots, and we've got moisture sensors in one of our fields that will detect where the moisture is. How far into the ground is the moisture, how far will it go, how much water do you want to put on? And that ties in with the irrigation modeling. If you're going to put on this much water at this speed, and where's your root zone, it's all tied together for optimizing the water usage for center pivots. So we're working with them on that project. Here's just a visual that came from the extension. I didn't make this. But plant water removal pattern, and it talks about the depth of where the roots are and where does the roots actually take the moisture from the soil, and depending on the soil types in your area, which can vary from in our county they vary, and they vary from in Wisconsin and county to county. So there's lots of tools out there that are being looked at and to use your fertilizer and your water usage and understanding your fields better. Moving into precision ag, this is a product that we're now using called More Than Manure, and it's a nutrient manager. And we add this to our lagoons for the purpose of preventing nitrogen loss and also locking up the phosphorus. So it's, again, a more efficient way of utilizing the fertilizer of the manure. More precision ag, we do soil testing for efficient fertilizer usage, and we use nutrient maps that allow for tracking fertilizer needs and crop yields. So you see the picture in the upper right that shows the map. You know, there's greens and there's yellows and there's reds. So those are different where the nutrients could be needed in that field. And then and this is my brother Jamie in the picture with our Pioneer rep, and they're looking at, you know, these are the yields I got, you know, in this area. You know, do I need more fertilizer here? Why is the yields different? And you know, all our fields they're not flat, and they're not the same soil throughout the same field. So there's lots to analyze. I kind of like this slide here. This is a field mapping to manage manure, and it ties 3 different mapping systems together. So the top one in the teal is phosphorus levels through soil samples in that field. And then we'll go through the picture on the left is applicating the manure. So we map all that. We know exactly where we applied the manure, and I'll use my samples to find out how much of the nutrients I put there. And then the bottom picture is then the yields of corn. So how did we do? You know, was this field lacking in any nutrients? You know, did we yield where we thought we would? Is there room for improvement? So there's lots of analyzing that can be done here. This is pretty new technology as well. C3, it's 3D soil testing, and it is essentially a 3D picture of your soil in your field. So you're going to know, you know, soil types. And how does that soil work with the moisture and your nutrients, and how can you, it's just a better picture, better tool for analyzing your soil and better understanding that. Precision ag, again, global positioning system, GPS. It's hard to see, but in the chopper on the top, there's a big yellow globe, and that's the GPS system. And we use that to record what field we're in and yield data. And then also we use auto steer, which it's like hands-free driving. So we can have more efficient planting and actually use it for mowing the hay. We also use it for applying the manure. So it's hands-free. The person in the tractor is able to really concentrate on what they're doing, watching the planter, watching the mower, and not have to pay attention where they're going. And it's going to save on diesel fuel. We're not overlapping. We're only doing harvesting where we need to, and we're only putting fertilizer on pass once and not overlapping as well. So you're making less trips to the field and essentially saving in fuel. So that's a nice way to be more efficient in each field as well. Here's a product that we're using from our sponsor, Pioneer, is an inoculant. We use it on corn silage and haylage and high moisture corn. And it contains a bacteria that produces enzymes that make fiber more digestible. And no, I didn't write that. I got that from them. But essentially, it's making our corn or our crops fiber more digestible for the cows. So I can feed more silage and less grain and protein, which is the expensive stuff. So my ration essentially is price is lowered. So you can see that's actually attached right to the chopper, and it goes on at a certain, however much we want to put it on at a certain time. So it's evenly put in. So to summarize, to kind of relate my manure management to my precision ag, it really is all tied together. So I assess my crop needs from my manure, the nutrients in my manure, by using yield maps and soil tests. And then I actually apply my manure, monitor my application. Am I applying it over the top, or am I incorporating it? And at what rate am I applying it, the manure? And then relate those applications to the manure samples I take, over 100 samples a year. And then I develop site-specific nutrient applications. So I can adjust my commercial fertilizer applications with that VRT, that variable rate. I could put the fertilizer where I need it, and I'm not using more than I have to. And then I monitor the yields and the soil tests over time. So they all are tied together. I'm tying my manure management to growing crops, to growing, crops for my cows. So it's just all works together. A little bit then about the social media technology that I do. We have a website. There's a lot of information on there. We talk about our cows. We talk about the environment. We talk about the community, what we do for the community and the family, and pictures. And there's a lot of information on there. I have a Facebook page that I have, I think, almost 1,800 people on my Facebook page now. And I'm learning how to use it better. I have a Fast Fact Friday comment every Friday, or sometimes it's Saturday morning if I forget. But I try to put something on there because you're supposed to be on your page at least once a week, if not 2 or 3 times. So I've started using Instagram, and I take pictures and I pop it up in seconds. And so that I send to Facebook, I send to Twitter, and it's on Instagram. So for instance, the other day I was walking through the barns, and we have the those back scratchers, those lily scratchers, and a cow was just loving it. So I took her picture and I put on the comment, "Ooh, 24/7 back scratcher, gotta love it." It's simple, and it took me literally minutes to do. And I reached people on Facebook and Twitter and on Instagram, and I reached over 1,200 people, just like that in a day. And I have to do that because I need to have an open door. I have to educate people. Hopefully a lot of my guests are there to learn, and to me that's just the everyday thing that we're seeing at the farm. But that's what I have to open my eyes to. What are the everyday things that I can teach people that we're doing? I started Pinterest for myself and had a lot of fun with it, so I did it for the farm as well. And I have recipes on there. I have dairy recipes. I have cheese recipes, ice cream. I have farm quotes on there. So that's just kind of a fun, different reference. I think I'm reaching different people in Pinterest than I would maybe on Facebook or Twitter. Just another avenue. We do YouTube. They're linked on our website page. Talking about, some of our consultants are on there talking about what we do, and we're on there talking about what we do as well. And some of us are on LinkedIn. It's more of the business connection, business reaching out to people in the ag world. This is my best picture I took so far, and it was just a neat picture at dusk with my son, who's 13, driving this great big tractor, and the farm's in the background. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Okay, now I need to sing. And my daughter was with me, and she's 15. She goes, So God Made a Farmer, and that was really popular from Paul Harvey right after the Super Bowl. So that's all I did. Picture, comment, So God Made a Farmer. I reached 6,200 people with this picture. It was so exciting to watch how far that went. And if you understand how Facebook works, that was kind of a big deal. Quality, pride, family. Those are 3 words that my family lives by every day. We hope we have a quality product, a quality looking farm. We take pride in what we do, working with our employees, working with the community, and our family is important to us. There's a lot of us. There's in 4 generations in this picture, and at Christmas time, there's 40 Larsons that get together at Christmas still. It's nice that we are still very tightly connected, and we believe in that. So quality, pride, and family, it goes into everything we do, is really important. We live by those, and it's actually part of our sign, our logo, in our reception area at our office there. So that's all I've got. If there's any questions, we'd be happy to take them in any of the areas. Question here? Sure, AI program. We work with Select Sires. They come in and mate all our cows for us, and they give us a Sire 1 and a Sire 2 idea for bulls to use. Of the 12 bulls approximately that we use, we pick a couple from each of the studs, Alta, Select, ABS. And then we also AAA everything. So I'll use a AAA with the 2 choices that he has, and mate our cows that way. We do Obvisync, so they're on timed breeding. All cows' first breeding is on the timed program at 75 days. And currently we're using probably half high genomic bulls and half proven bulls. Sex semen, question is, do we use any sex semen? Is used on heifers only. Yes.
Sounds like you run the whole operation.
Do I run the whole operation? Well, if we take these 3 people out the door, I might say yes, but no. No, we all work together. You know, that's why we have our operations meetings, and I think I drew the short straw and get to talk to people. But you know, we have 25 tours at our farm at home this week, and I do a lot of that kind of thing. I do the DNR, a lot of the DNR reporting we have to do for Wisconsin, and work with the cows a little bit. You know, each one of us have roles in the dairy, and I think that's why it works, because we all have our own roles, and then we all work together to make the farm successful. Yeah.
If I come down to the farm, can I get a tour? Just individual?
Yes. He wants to know if he can get a tour individual. Yeah, I mean, we do. We have tours. I have tours every week now. I mean, last week I had 100 kindergartners that came. And last spring, at the end of school year, I had 750 school-age kids. That was my most ever. And my Schwan man loved me because he was bringing ice cream every day, because he had my tour schedule, so I give him a treat. And then Saturday, I had, unrelated to Expo, I had a bus from St. Louis of some older people that came they were touring Wisconsin. And I have every week now we do tours, and it's a good thing, because I'm reaching out to people. I mean, we have to reach out to people and educate them, and that's part of what we do at our dairy. Our milk goes to Grande, where they make a pizza cheese, and our plant is literally 15 miles away, so real close by. So pizza, provolone, mozzarella cheese at Grande. Question is, why didn't we do rotaries? And I'll answer the way I think we didn't, and maybe you'll have to see. But in 1998, when we were doing our first expansion, building costs were quite high. And we worked with the consultants, and, you know, do we do rotaries? They were pretty new at that time. We just decided, nope, that wasn't going to fit us. So when we put in our second parlor, we really wanted them to be very similar. And so we couldn't do a rotary and have a parallel parlor at the same time. So we've stuck with our parallel. And our cows are doing well. The new changes to the parlor with the lift gates has really helped our cows get in and out of the parlor easy. Agree?
Is your milk cooled in the tankers, or how is your milk cooled down?
Our milk is cooled in the milk house through a chiller, and it does go on our tankers cooled and stored right on tankers. And we ship about 5 tankers a day. So it goes on cool and stays cool. Any other questions?
How long have you been on social media, and why did you decide to get on?
Well, how long have I been on social media, and why did I decide to get on it? I didn't join the Facebook craze at first. This is gonna pass, and I don't have time for it. And I didn't. I mean, I get too many emails in a day. I don't have time to look at something else. But I don't know. Somehow I incorporated it in my day, and that was probably 4 years ago, maybe. So not long. And then I tried to figure out Twitter. Twitter's not my favorite. That's just too fast for me, I guess. And then like Instagrams come out, and now there's Snapchat, and I haven't figured that out either. That's more for kids that do that. But so I haven't been. I didn't join it at first, but I'm kind of embracing it, and it's a way, It's fun after I've had a tour to see who's joined my Facebook page, and I'll be like, oh, they were just on my tour. They're going to keep coming back. And usually, it's an eye-opener when they come to our place and see all the technology that I just told you about that we have on our farm. They have no idea what we do and how we do it on the farm. They just know that they buy their milk in the store. Yeah.
Roughly what percentage of your own feed do you raise?
The question is, how much of our own feed do we raise? We do raise just about all our crop needs. We do buy some dry corn, but we do grow enough haylage and grasslage and corn silage, and just buy a little bit of dry corn.
Any other questions for Sandy? Why don't we get Mike and Ed and Pat, why don't you all stand up here with Sandy, and let's give them another round of applause.
Got really fast.
Went fine.
You did an excellent job.